everyone, and welcome to this month's LinkedIn Lovin' Live, where we are shining a light on the world's leading B2B social media platform. That is, of course, LinkedIn. And I'm delighted today to be joined by Sandra Phillipson. She's a chartered marketeer and she's a marketing and business strategist. And she's here to help us kickstart our marketing for 2026. And of course, no surprises, that's going to include ensuring our marketing is AI ready as well, which is why I'm even more excited that Sandra's joining us, because she's going to give us some practical steps we can use to help us stay ahead of the curve in 2026, which I think is going to be super important. It's going to be an interesting year. So hello, Sandra, and welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Judy. Thank you. And yeah, delighted to be here and having a chat about this very meaty topic and very topical topic, should we say? Not sure the right
meaty and topical. Absolutely, meaty and topical. So, so for everybody who's new to these LinkedIn Lovins, just before we start, if you're wondering what the heck they are short, I can't even say that. Goodness me, put my teeth back in. They are short, bite-sized LinkedIn learnings over lunch. And each month I'm joined by a guest expert to share their expertise on subjects to help us support our marketing and our LinkedIn activity and results. So I do like to make these LinkedIn Lovins as live and as interactive as possible. So if you do have any questions, please put them in the event page in the comments box, and Sandra will be able to answer those for us. But I do have a little icebreaker question for everybody just before we crack on, and that is, do you think your marketing is AI ready? Now, I know for one at the moment that I would say no, it's not. I'm working on it slowly but surely, baby steps. But, you know, is it something maybe you're thinking about doing for 2026? And if so, you're in the right place. So enough from me. Let's get started. So, Sandra, I wanted to sort of understand what do we see as the main marketing challenges that as business owners we really need to be looking out for in 2026?
Oh, for me, there's three themes that really come to light for smaller businesses. The first one, in terms of being seen and heard, is just what we're calling the attention deficit era. Is that we're all highly distracted, whether that's in our business lives, personal lives. We are overwhelmed with reels, notifications, everything. I feel exhausted even talking about it. You know, we check our phones 228 times a day, and we check them for 10 seconds on average, which is just bonkers.
Wow.
And I know it just makes things really hard. I know personally how many times I pick my phone up just to check something, and 20 minutes later, I don't even know why I've picked it up. So that is the first component. The second one is the AI overview and clickless marketing. That is really shifting how customers find us. And I think people really need to be leaning into this. And it's quite difficult because we all thought it was about SEO, and we're also focused on SEO, and that's working right now. And then somebody throws in AI, and then we're like, oh my God, I need to rethink that. And so that is just a massive challenge, especially for a small business.
It's so rude as well, isn't it? So rude doing that. And we're all getting SEO organized, and now we have to be AI organized.
Absolutely. It's exhausting. You know, we're all overwhelmed. We've then got a new thing to think about. It's absolutely exhausting. And then the third bit, which is kind of intertwined in all this, is the complexity of the sales journey. And I don't know, I'm sure people are familiar with the Daniel Priestley thinking about 7, 11, and 4, about 7 hours, 11 different posts and 4 different platforms that people. And that was devised in 2015, and people are now saying that potentially is double that. So there's all these things that are really making it hard for us to stand out within our spaces, within our businesses, even in our personal lives. It's got to get the attention of people on WhatsApp or whatever we're doing. It is something that is a real challenge.
Yes, and it's interesting, isn't it, in terms of LinkedIn, because people are obviously saying that, you know, and I've seen it myself, you know, reach are down, impressions are down, you know, our visibility does feel like it's diminishing a little bit on LinkedIn as well. So it's how do we stand out above that noise and get seen. But it's about being seen by the right people as well, isn't it? So how do we cut through that noise and that attention spans?
Yeah, absolutely. Just linking back to that. And I think the LinkedIn thing is so interesting. Like, we all want to be popular and we all want lots of likes on our posts, but sometimes, you've got to have the right likes.
Yes.
Are you doing a LinkedIn business? Unless you're maybe yourself, Judy. That's not the case. We're a business using LinkedIn to get traction with customers, and that's a real clear differentiation. And we should step back from, I've got 100 likes on this, that's a real dopamine hit. Well, they're irrelevant if you get no business from that. So
100%. And I love that you said that as well, Sandra, because I think for me that's the downside of social media, that thing that you need, that dopamine hit, because everybody loves you. And that for me is why I don't do social media. I don't like social media, and I don't see LinkedIn as social media. And it's like trying to put that to one side and ignoring it and doing what I want to use LinkedIn for myself, and not what social media or LinkedIn says.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we were answering how do we cut through the noise?
How do we cut through the noise? Sorry.
So there's a lot obviously going on. And so when you have this situation strategically, you need to be thinking about being more intentional. Just stop posting for the sake of it. You need to be more innovative with your posting. And there's two key themes that really come out of that, and that is content and authority. So really thinking about what we are posting and the authority, i.e. how credible are we and what's our point of view. So they're the two big things in terms of, what we really need to be thinking about as a smaller business and what that really means.
It's really interesting you should say that, actually, because whenever I say I do LinkedIn, a lot of people will go, well, I need to post more. And my thoughts in my head is, well, do you really need to post more? Because for me, there's other elements like your profile and who you're connected with and things like that. And also, we've now got this new LinkedIn algorithm called 360 Brew, which also is looking at what we say on our profile and whether what we post matches what we say on our profile. So when it comes to content, if I'm just trying to articulate, when it comes to content, it's not thinking of LinkedIn as a social media platform, but like you said, more strategic. So what does that actually mean? How do we get strategic on our content?
So I think there's two ways to think about it in a way. So basically, we're in a situation where we've got all this noise and there's a lot going on, and we are just needing to distill that back to almost marketing basics, if you like. Is that why are we posting? How are we posting? So the why is what our strategy is. How does our personal brand ally that, and what we are posting. So when we start to think about that, for me, that is about being consistent. That's about using different formats for your posting, because if people are really distracted, a short video is proven that actually that will engage people and capture people quicker. And the consistency is just so key. And then I think we start to talk about authority. So, and this is really relevant because LinkedIn is just a piece of our wider marketing jigsaw.
Yes.
That's how we really need to be thinking about LinkedIn. And that actually it's just another marketing tool. And actually in our wider picture, where does our LinkedIn strategy fit with our wider marketing strategy? And more importantly, the customers we're trying to reach, where do they hang out? Are they even on LinkedIn? Some of them might not be. You might even be on the wrong platform. Dare I say sorry? But it's all part. It's all relevant. It's all so relevant, and especially when we come to the AI search, because AI search is looking at your website. It's looking at your content on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or wider. But it's also having a look at how credible you are and how different you are. And so in terms of your content, having a clear point of view, being consistent about that point of view, and engaging people with different types of content is probably what I would say.
I love that. I think those are really, really good tips, and it's getting my mind going, because it's like, why are we posting? It's not posting for the sake of posting. It's been very kind of, I say strategic, because that's what you're kind of saying, isn't it? But it's it's been really clear, and having those points of view that align on your profile to what you're saying on LinkedIn in your posts as well. I'm just going to ask, if anybody's got a question for Sandra, do please pop it in the comments. It'd be lovely to get any questions there that's come through. So, right, okay. So the other thing I'd like to, you mentioned, so we've got content, so some fantastic sort of ideas there that we need to be thinking about. You mentioned about keeping the content short. So you mentioned videos, brilliant, absolutely, mixing the content up. But in terms of with the AI, in terms of what should we be talking about? I think you mentioned once to me about customer problems and, creating content pillars and things like that.
Yeah. So the thing to be thinking about in terms of AI is that how people are searching it has totally fundamentally changed. And so we are now seeing the AI overview, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with, but the evidence is it's lightning speed, the change here.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing to think about. So 60% of all Google search is now clickless, which means that people find the answers for what they're looking for without even clicking through to your website, which has a total impact on us tracking website traffic, attributing that to whatever we've done there. And so that then becomes really, really tricky. So we've got this problem. And also in terms of just then also using ChatGPT, I saw this amazing stat which showed how many people are using ChatGPT now. And it's gone from 400 million users, weekly users, to 800 million users. And that's from February 25 this year to November, to date. So basically, since February this year, it has doubled. And so that's why we really need to be thinking about it. And what AI does is the crawlers come out and people put in specific questions. So they put specific questions into the AI search, and AI looks for the most exact match to those questions, but also sources that they deem as reliable and credible. And so that's why it becomes really important to build content that very clearly answers the questions for customers, but clearly answers it also for AI. So it's a mixture of the two, and it is a fine balance in terms of looking at your website and looking what content you have on that website and making sure that is consistent with what's going on LinkedIn. And it's just looking at it in a really holistic way to go, actually, a customer who's looking for a business coach specific for women who are in midlife and what's their challenges, it hones in on that. It will hone in on that. And so therefore, make sure our content is clear about what we offer, and the way, and it's marketing point of view, is that what is your uniqueness? What is the thing that is different about what you do? And thinking about your content. So we all answer a problem for a customer, because if not, we wouldn't have a business.
Yeah.
So what are the customer problems that we answer? Is it clear about how we answer them? Is it clear about how we answer them differently from our competitors even? And by getting really good at your content and being really articulate about it, that will drive you to be in the AI search. It's not quite as simple as that, but basic changes can really, really help to make sure that you are at the front of the queue, if you like, in terms of getting picked up by the AI crawlers, and you're in that AI overview, which is really now starting to be the dream ticket.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing, Sandra. That's a brilliant overview. And I feel like it's almost scary as well, because I'm thinking it can be a bit overwhelming as a business owner. Like, we need to really have that helicopter view and get really clear, I'm assuming, on our brand and who our customers are and what we stand for, and as you say, what our USP is, and being able to articulate that over and above anyone else. So that is really interesting. I think it's interesting actually just to mention here about the because you do a mini AI audit, which you did for me, which is really fascinating. It's a great place to start, I think, because it's like understanding what's missing, where are you, and especially now as it's coming to that time of year where we're winding down and thinking about maybe marketing for next year. So when you're doing those mini AI audits, what is it that are you looking for exactly what you've just said to us that on
a mixture of stuff. So, I've been doing senior marketing stuff for over 25 years. So I've kind of got my marketing hat on, but also the up-to-date AI knowledge of really what's going on in that space. And just having, so what I do is I'll have a look at individual websites and review the content in terms of just looking at the level of authority on there, the level of the content. And basically, as you know, I have a look through and then I just provide 6 very practical tips of how you can then evolve your website, which isn't particularly time consuming or expensive because we've already got the websites. And the reason why I'm focused on websites is thinking about this again strategically is that it is still the biggest shop window you have for your business. So you have your main shop window really is your website, and LinkedIn links into that. And that's how I really think about it. And so it goes back to when you start working with smaller businesses, and I've worked corporately in big businesses for a lot of my career, is that, people think, oh, being strategic, what is a ubiquitous term? What does that really mean? But actually what it is it's just about thinking about stuff. It's about understanding the context and then just making practical changes. And the best advice I'd probably ever give anybody is focus on doing 2 things really, really well, as opposed to trying to do 10 things and not doing them as well. And for smaller businesses, I do think that is about your website and the relevant social media platform for you. For most people, that will be LinkedIn. And I'm guessing most people on this call, that will be for LinkedIn. But also, it might be Instagram, it might be TikTok, it might be other stuff. But that's the other thing to think about is how your consumers are finding you and how they are using different ways to find you as well. And one of the other aspects in terms of authority is seeing what people say about your business, what's on Trustpilot or the equivalent. It's like when we go to a restaurant now, them days of walking past a restaurant and going, oh, that one looks nice, I'll go in there, I'll go. Because all of a sudden we get the phone out and we check the last 20 reviews. Oh, they say it's good, the service is good, the food is good, tick, we'll go in here. Or we go to the point where we only, we're tracking down restaurants based on the Trustpilot, not the Trustpilot, the TripAdvisor review. So it's all these different elements, but we can really, really simplify it down is really the message, to actually get to a point where, we can really start to really start to make some just really small changes to actually really help us with our marketing.
Do you know what? I love that. And it is about keeping it simple, isn't it? And that is focusing on just 1 or 2 key things. So like you say, your website and a social media platform, which for me is LinkedIn. And because I've always said that, for me, I'm a big believer in doing one thing and doing it well rather than trying to spread myself too thin and trying to do too much. And as I say, I've never been a fan of social media, but I think what's interesting as well that YouTube is also mentioned quite a lot as well, isn't it? And these lives that I do also get streamed out to YouTube. And again, it's that visibility as well, isn't it, of people, that credibility, which I think brings me quite nicely onto this word authority. Because you mentioned, the 2 things you mentioned previous when we started talking about what do we need to be AI ready, and you talked about content and you talked about authority. And, and again, for me, authority is another word that's bandied around a lot, and a bit like thought leadership and authenticity and all these things. And actually, what does it mean? What are they? What do we need to do? And how can we demonstrate that? Well, how do we demonstrate that, really?
So it's really about what is it about you that says you are, you've got a really clear point of view, what problem you're solving, what is it? And it is about customer testimonials. It is about, you know, we've talked about whether you're on Trustpilot. It's about links into other businesses almost as well, and any evidence of what your activity is and what you're doing and why that makes you somebody who's a go-to for your area of expertise or for your product. And that's really when we say, because you're right, it's just one of those terms, you know, we all need to be more authoritative, you know, is it one of our values, you know, is it one, you know, it's like authenticity, isn't it? It's all these terms that we see. And then there you go, boom, you end up with this thing. So being authoritative is not using AI to create our content, probably is one of my key points, is that AI create some great content. If you put in, I'd like to create a LinkedIn post covering this topic, boom, it will create you this great piece of content. And you know, we all do a bit of editing, a bit of playing around on ChatGPT, etc. But what it isn't going to do is make you distinct. That is the point.
Yeah.
And so actually, for me, if you're just fueling your feed with, you know, ChatGPT driven AI content, or you've even got a bot to answer comments in LinkedIn using AI, that really isn't about driving authority. That is actually just ticking a box. And so what's really important is having your own point of view and also making sure that you're clear and consistent about it and keep showing up with them same clear, consistent messages, because that will build your authority.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. It's been really clear on your, when you say point of view, it's what you stand for in terms of what you offer, what you deliver, what you do, or is it a point of view within your industry?
It can be both, but you know, also what really comes into play, and you know, it's one of my key areas, is about your brand as well, about making sure that you're really clear about your brand and you're showing up consistently. And that's personal brand as well. You know, we're not just talking about big brands. We're talking about, you know, this is me, this is my reputation, this is what I stand for, and not kind of distilling that or muddying it, just, you know, staying firm. And if you look at people who, you look at Amelia Sordell and some of the big LinkedIn personal brand people, they are very, very consistent. Whilst I'm not saying become Amelia Sordell, because she's she is a personal brand LinkedIn business. That is her business. But what I'm saying is, it's all about, you know, just thinking about it in the context that you need to, but showing up consistently in different formats and being interested and having, you know, we've all got our own magic. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
We've all got our own, we're all unique human beings. We've all got our own magic in the world. And, you know, we spend a bit of time thinking about your positioning and your brand, because that's what's really, really key. And actually, if you've got a really clear positioning and a really clear brand, and lots of people saying, hey, Judy's great, please work with Judy, that creates the two bits of content and authority that you need in order to try and help you stand out. And you're not trying to tread on anybody's toes. You're not trying to compete, you know, neck to neck with somebody else. You're actually going, this is me and this is what I do. And then that means that the right customers will also align to you, the people you want to work with. And it goes into, you know, thinking about your business and just totally, you know, about your brand and what you stand for and the customer problems that you solve.
Love that. Yeah, that is really clear. I love that. Sandra is like, oh, that's what we need to do. We just had a couple of questions come up, which I'd just like to go through. So, Kate, which is one. I'm going to put this one of Kate's up first, because this is my question as well. Because so Kate has been focusing on asking clients for Google reviews, and this. So should we now also be asking for a mixture of Google reviews and Trustpilot, or? Now, I'm just focusing on Google reviews because all my recommendations are on LinkedIn. So I'm like, I can't ask, can you do this? And can you do this? Can you put it here? Can you put it here?
So it's a really great question. In an ideal world, we'd have 3 different sources of validation of our business. The reality is that depends on your business, Kate. Sorry, I don't know what your business is, but think
HR.
about the business. Oh, it's HR. So think about your business and actually what is the best tool to social proof you. So that means that somebody else is giving you independent reviews and validating your business. And so that's why I would really, really think about, it is good to have a couple, but exactly what Judy says, like getting someone to do 1 review is hard enough, never mind saying, can you do a Google review and a Trustpilot? Or you alternate it. You go, right, this customer here, I'll get them to do a Google review, and the next customer a Trustpilot. And, you know, as long as they're positive reviews, I'm not a technical expert, but I would say AI would prefer, I'm guessing at this, and so maybe just check the technical side of this, is that it will prefer a number of review sources as opposed to just 1.
Yeah.
I guess it goes back to the basics of if you were asking for a recommendation yourself, would you rather just have 1 recommendation from 1 source, or would you rather have 2 recommendations but from different sources?
Thank you. And I've got one here from Katie, which is really interesting. And I'm not sure how we're going, if this is answerable or not, but Katie's just done a search for what coaches work with non-profit leaders in the UK. And she's AI has mentioned her, which is amazing. Well done, Katie. That's brilliant. But on the other hand, she's saying that she's had so few discovery calls and less reach on LinkedIn. Oh, she's never had, sorry, beg your pardon, read it properly. Never had so few discovery calls and less reach. So the less reach on LinkedIn is just, that's LinkedIn. Everybody's having less reach, unfortunately. There are still lots of lurkers there. I think, Sandra, you mentioned about Daniel Priestley. Was it Daniel Priestley posting that actually only 1% of people are posting, but 99% are lurking? So there's people there. But...
Yeah, it's really tough. It is tough. And LinkedIn changed its algorithm, as we know, which meant that, and we were just talking about this earlier, weren't we, Judy, about how you can now pay to boost your LinkedIn posts. And it's kind of feeling like LinkedIn have got this commercial angle on it, really, in that here's a temptation. Why don't you just spend £40, boost it, get further reach? And you can do that, but I feel it's one of them things that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because before we know it, we'll all be paying and we'll all be chasing the same people. And so in an ideal world, we all should go, no, nobody pay, because it creates an equilibrium, if you like. And so, I mean, that's great. If AI is picking you up, Kate, that is fantastic. It might be that you're too niche. I don't know your market. But it might just be that there's less demand in the market. It might be that somebody is not specifically, they want a coach, but they might not want to be a non-profit. So maybe play around a little bit with different ways of searching for your business and then see what comes up. And then maybe you can alter your content to make sure you get picked up with 3 different types of searches. I hope that answers that. There's no, it's like with marketing, there's never a one perfect answer to this. It's always about testing and learning what works best for our businesses.
And I think just going back to what you said before, it's to stay consistent, to stay, don't stop showing up. So Katie, you post a lot on LinkedIn, you're on there, keep doing what you're doing. Because you don't want to, that snowball just keeps going and going. And so, just stay visible, stay out there, keep doing what you're doing. And stuff. And maybe it is time just to have a look at that higher level marketing for next year, and hopefully this has given you some ideas of where to start and stuff like that. So thank you very much. And just got another question here from Saminda. So for somebody who has no reviews yet, as is completely new, what would you recommend then? So I guess we've answered that question. I'm starting with Google reviews. So, but you could do either Trustpilot or Google reviews, I guess. and stuff. Okay, fantastic. So we're coming up to nearly 30 minutes, and I think we still haven't we could probably still carry on talking here and giving lots of tips and advice here. But just to summarize, if possible, then, because I think you've given loads of stuff here, and I will obviously be sharing this out and sort of identifying doing an article on this. But what do you feel, if somebody is listening to this now, what would be the top thing that you would do now for the likes of Katie and Saminda and Kate, who are on here? Where should we start, do you think?
I'd start with your website. I'd start with your website. Sorry, Judy, it's the truth. But that is heavily linked in to your social media. If you do a great post on your LinkedIn, it will drive traffic to your website. So LinkedIn is very important, but that's a feeder. And so what's really important is AI picking it up, whether that's from LinkedIn, whether that's from your website. But the biggest shop window we have as B2B people is generally just around what is in there. And don't put too much in your shop window, because we all get a bit overwhelmed with that. But put the things that are most important in your shop window.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandra. I really appreciate that. It's really great. Thank you, everybody. If anybody's got any more questions, please do put them in the comments box. Sandra and I will be able to come on afterwards and respond to them. Right. I just want to say a huge thank you again, Sandra, for that fantastic LinkedIn love in there. I've got things popping off all over the place in my head, so I can't wait to re-listen to this and start going through those wonderful tips that you said.
And I was going to say, I think we're just going to post, if anybody would be interested in the AI audit, I think it's going to be posted in there. I think I saw a question asking about it. So.
Yes, indeed. So I would highly recommend getting in touch with Sandra to actually look at and see, is your marketing ready, AI ready for 2026? And she's given me some really useful insights and things which I need to act on. That's the thing, isn't it? You've got to act on it.
Oh, yes.
That's my tip for everybody. Act on it. So thank you very much indeed, Sandra, and thank you everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks a lot.